Maybe we should start by describing our lived experience right now in the moment.
Mm. Oh, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, so we are practicing embodying that which we're also conversing about today, which is source keeping from the middle. Source keeping from the middle. Yeah, which is a way of relating to reality, a frame that creates an experience, that creates a mode of being. That feels like it comes quite intuitively to us both, but also we're co-constructing it into a particular, um, it's almost like it has a mantra quality where when it's spoken, it shapes the field in a particular way.
Mm. Yeah, I noticed that even the invocation of the middle, the two of us, we were dialoguing with each other, checking in with more of our personal experience. And then something, yeah, my awareness almost began to, sometimes it feels like it's feeling a vortex in the center, like really, yeah, something like a kind of gathering point that brings my awareness into relationship with you, but also into relationship with that which is wanting to unfold between us. Um, yeah, and the way that it's almost like my whole body and awareness begins to I'm laughing because it's almost like there is an allurement. It's like, oh, there's now um this other, like, capital O other that's very present, and wanting to come into relationship with us. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I experience it as beauty. It's it's a relative beauty at first, but it sort of shimmers in a particular way that illuminates the capital B beauty. And then that feels like the the cosmic trap in a way, where there's a feeling of being locked into beauty.
Mm.
And just the way the light is shining on your face, you kind of look like a cat that's basking in the sun. And then the juxtaposition of this plant life with the Gap bag in the background and the baby. I think those are like baby toys in the back. But there's just this sense of becoming one with the artistry of life itself, and a real dissolving of um, any meaningful boundaries. I'll say the boundaries are still can arise as particular shapes and colors and experiences, but they don't have as much of a real quality to them. They're kind of more like tidal patterns in the ocean.
Mm. Yeah, I'm noticing there's an interesting paradox to even the intention to create a recording about source keeping from the middle, because the invitation immediately is to embody it. And so often I find that the practice of source keeping from the middle is, I don't know, there's like an ask for me to actually drop away a lot of what I know. So it's like any of our, yeah, it's just like our abundance of conversations and documents and cosmologies and principles and protocols and images. Like there's something about it where it's like, okay, now I have to release all of it. And there's that releasing is an act of faith because source keeping from the middle for me is allowing reality to come alive in every moment in its exact right alignment to what is here and now. And the thing that's so funny about it is that then it doesn't adhere to a kind of linear fixation on what is the right way to tell the right story about source keeping from the middle that is understandable and um yeah, yeah, almost like an old model of what it means to speak coherently or precisely about something. Explain it.
Why one of the reasons why I enjoy source keeping from the middle with you in particular, Cheryl, is because I feel like we in this mode of being, there's often a more polarity that's created. Like the conditions of the middle stretch the spectrum of polarity, and and so yeah, there's a way in which I want to almost show up, or what's moving through is a desire to actually be very precise and to actually lean on the documents and to use like the precision of structure to point to something that is also phenomenologically perhaps already here, and to free you of having to do that. I, in a sense, holding that, but I also feel that you are creating the structure for that structure to arise by letting it go of it. So the two polarities are part of this like middle, toroidal middle that also creates them at the same time.
Mm, yeah, I feel really excited and relaxed and enlivened when you describe like holding that pole. Like the tension in my body suddenly releases more into, yeah, just I can just be.
Can I read something that's on one of the talks that I sometimes in podcasts like this or dialogues like this, the thing that is we're actually talking about never actually gets simply described until 45 minutes in, and I worry that that's not of service all the time. So yeah, I'm gonna pause. Yeah, it's interesting. I noticed that my physical body started to like tremble a little bit, which is to me, it I wasn't um I wasn't a body before. The trembling of the body reminded me that I'm a body. And then like the middle is creating the sense of an individual self that is almost being, it's almost like poking reality and reconstructing a sense of self to like check in.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a an aspect of context that I want to set, which is that you were in Boulder in this room in this house for 5 days about a month ago. And we've been creative partners for a couple of years now, but it's been since September when the gathering of the Source Keepers happened in Asheville that the two of us, it felt like there was a level of a vow commitment made to each other in terms of our creative partnership. Um, and from that, it's almost like the souls have kind of up leveled into this new dynamic relational whole that has this beautiful ability to bring both of us, it seems, to our individual growth edges while also doing something what each individual couldn't do on its own. And
Mm,
so there's this middle that is our field, um, that is completely saturated with boundless, timeless awareness. There's not a sense of separation, but there's also a sense of uniqueness that arises. And there's a almost a devotional, celebratory quality to that uniqueness that we both pour life force into. We pour our heart, our soul, our love, our commitment, our word. And in doing so, it magnetizes this, you could call it almost its own being. I think you mentioned that earlier. It's like it's its own. The middle becomes this living, dynamic processual being that is us and not us simultaneously. And it is all, but it is also very specifically a thing simultaneously. And by basically being in devotion to the guru that is the middle, that is us, that is also creating who we're not, or who we're not yet. There's a quality of synchronicity, quality of movement, like it's actually moving reality in a particular direction that has its own erotic desire or its own evolutionary teleos, even perhaps. And the framing of that conceptually is usually it's usually not so important. It's more of the felt sense of the resonant alignment. And then your resonant alignment and my resonant alignment creates this coherence that is the middle.
mm,
And usually that coherence has a particular direction or desire or next step that is just known non-conceptually. It's a non-conceptual knowing that is informing, it's literally informing what wants to be. And the very moment of knowing that information is actually, it's like it's already happened before one is even aware that it's happening. It's like when you're surfing, you don't really even know where you're moving, but somehow you're moving. Like the body and being itself is moving before there's sort of like a mental record of it, you could say.
mm,
So you call that a flow state, but it's not. It's a flow state that is it's a flow state that is actually the right order of reality itself.
mm,
It's not a flow state that is like for the it's not a technique is what I'm saying. It's not like some fancy technique to create more productivity, although it does do all of that. But it actually feels phenomenologically like there's a alignment with reality itself as a capital R. And I hold that lightly with openness and emptiness as to the the quality of story that is there, but also the felt sense of it feels just as real as anything else.
Mm. Yeah, that's so good. I was having such, and I'm still having such kind of like active imaginal resonance as you're speaking. And I can feel actually the center or the middle. It's always gathering itself. And even as you're speaking, it's kind of like it's gathering words, it's gathering gesture, it's gathering metaphor. And one thing actually I just want to speak to is I was really coming back to the point at which we met, actually, Tucker. And I think we had had a Zoom call. But the first time we really met was in Constructing Consciousness in Ontario. And I feel like it might be part of our lore now, but you in the kitchen and it was very quiet. Um, and I believe we were making coffee together and we were talking about creativity and art.
Hmm.
But something about, that center point of whatever brought our bodies into space together for that particular moment. For some reason, it matters that you were also coming to some, like both of us were in the midst of holding gatherings. Like for me, I had just come out of Respond, these gatherings around collective wisdom. And then you had just been constellating all of these gatherings around the world around constructing consciousness. So it was really, so even our meeting point was like a gathering of our unique callings already
Mm.
up to that point. It was like, oh, we had already been drawn to a kind of network weaving towards building consciousness, towards cultivating wisdom. And it felt like we found each other at a moment where there was a kind of threshold of evolution that we were both seeking. And I'm actually remembering a call that we had just several weeks after that, and I was in a park, and we were speaking just much more candidly to the challenges that we were experiencing. Like I was just like, wow, I just come back from Bergerac in France after a month of doing these gatherings, and it was like it was hard. There was a lot of also beauty and ambition and really, yeah, relationships that were coming together around a deep calling. And also, um, yeah, something about it. I think I just wanted to, I want to share that too, because I remember you sharing similarly about Constructing Consciousness Ontario and freshly also looking at those struggles. And I was like, oh, we were modeling source keeping, source keepers in friendship with one another, and just kind of speaking candidly about what it's like to be in devotion to soul work, but also, yeah, just like a kind of recognition of the mutuality of our learnings. It's like, oh, what happened for you? Oh, what happened for me? Like what I think there was a kind of collective learning that was drawing us together. Um, yeah, and just something about the gathering point of the past and future into the middle feels really important because, source keeping from the middle is an alchemy of all of our lived experience. So whatever I'm releasing is also in service to a kind of enlivenment of not holding on to the patterns of the past, but also learning from and alchemizing what has happened.
Hmm.
And there's almost like a freshness of what wants to be born here. It's like, can we stay committed to the transmutation? Um, And there's almost like a cosmic death and rebirth. Like that's how I experience the middle. It's like a kind of black hole that sucks everything back to source. It's like, okay, I will release all of my preconditions. It's like what I think is supposed to be. And then it's like, okay, now I surrender to that which wants to come through that's completely fresh and spontaneous. And I'm allowing myself to be kind of like born into this new world. Or like the worlding, just like the spontaneous worlding of the moment. Yeah, and that's like I think I just want to share that because then everything that we create is just in devotion to that middle. It's almost like we create something, we give it to the middle. Something is created from the middle, it returns to the middle, and there's a way in which the fidelity of that shape feels very close to what creation is in the deepest cosmic sense.
Yeah, beautiful. I want to say a caveat, which is I wonder if one who is listening or watching this might be thinking like, oh, that sounds like a lovely we space practice. But this to me is not a we space practice. This is first off, it's not even a it's very close to how most moments of reality take shape often. So it's not like we're entering into some well, I'll speak for myself. I don't feel myself entering into some heightened state experience. There's a dialing up of particular qualities of being that our structure is creating, but the foundations of that are stable already. And so why I named that is because it's not we're incredibly productive in this mode of being, incredibly productive. It's it's more like source keeping space than it's we space, if that makes sense. It's not so much a relational practice, but it's a way of relating to reality that creates all of life as living practice. One thing you mentioned the black hole and the void, and it's this is another aspect of polarity between us. Is I experience it as a hearth and a fire, and it's like we're the two of us, but also it feels like there's more than just the two of us. It feels like there's our past projects, our future beckoning, our maybe our ancestors, but also all of our friendships and relationships and teachers and allies and lineages are all here together around the fire. And the flames are both destroying, almost like burning karma, like just by staring into the fire, it's karmically processing that which is no longer serving. And by being warmed by the flames, there's a sense of a life-giving quality that is birthing what wants to be received by reality.
Mm, mm,
And the at the center of the center of the center of the hearth is that void space that you're talking about. And perhaps they're like fully merged as one, but also it's interesting to separate them and to experience the unique qualities of them because they somehow magnify the potency of each of them.
yeah. Yeah, it's very, whenever I stare at a flame, like a candle or at a fire, a crackling fire, there is a way in which I feel as much like the vacuum as and the emanation of the heat and the light. And I feel like maybe, yeah, speaking of polarity, it's like that black center of a flame, like when you're just, it's almost like a completely still, clear portal. There's something that's so, I think it's, yeah, like a reminder of the metabolic process of life that it needs to consume to create. And something about what you're describing of the burning of the karma, it's like there is actually something that's being eaten up. There is
Yeah.
something that is being willingly, consciously sacrificed. And yeah, I think sometimes it's easy to have, yeah, and I'm just going to use this as like yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a projection of what entrepreneurship and innovation and creativity is. But I also, there is some sense of, yeah, it's like creation not having its deep roots and almost like, yeah, a connection to what is being consumed in order for that creation to unfold.
Mm.
And I see that as actually a kind of like runaway train in our culture as well. Like we're kind of
Mm.
eating our earth alive to keep creating. And at the same time, like creation is what we do. It's kind of like it's what we as living beings, as evolutionary beings, we're always consuming to create more, to consume to create more. And I feel like finding right relationship in that, like finding the right way, the right like, I always come back to like metabolism and eating because it's so obviously just what we do as life. And we can share that with a leaf that's photosynthesizing light, and we can share that with a cow that's like chewing through its, multiple stomachs. But yeah, something about reclaiming a kind of yeah, planetarily, cosmically aligned, but then also intimately relationally, like right here, aligned creativity um is yeah, there's something about like in every gathering of relationships, what is actually truly wanting to come alive in that moment? And how do you completely serve life in that way? Like
Mm.
what wants to come through this recording right now? Why are we doing it? Who is it here to serve? How are we being served by it? How is life being served by it? I think, yeah, there is something about it where ultimately it becomes prayer. It's just, there is something about it that's like a, yeah.
Mm.
Guess it's just hard not to bow to the great creator when, yeah, when you realize that life is creating through you more life.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. Devotional devouring, divine devotional devouring. But there's this quality of hmm, yeah, I like continuing to play and the polarity. And so there's this sense of in devotion towards something or becoming something or being something. And there's a quality of an unfolding process that happens in that, or a almost a longing, like an longing towards that which is wanting to potentiate itself or birth itself. And in the act of source keeping from the middle with you, I feel that it's very paradoxical that the longing is already fully arrived. And in the devotional prayer is the very birthing of the sacred world of love, like the fire, the flames. It's the flames of love. It's the heart.
Mm,
It's the heart that is warming our hearts, and the separation between those two are completely meaningless, but fun to experience also as part of the wholeness that is kind of awakened to itself as already complete and perfect and fully radiant and alive. But somehow in that experience, there's not a desire to just simply pause and rest there. That is already happening. Like there's a almost an eternal pause, an eternal resting of experience that creates the conditions for growth and for birth and for devouring and for death and for grief and heartbreak and heart opening and creation and art and play and joy and anger.
mm,
Uh, so there's this, yeah, there's a way in which that creates, um, it's not even a faith that needs doing. It's more like a faith that arises as a recognition of being that is
mhm,
reminding itself that it's already home, even as home is the very journey towards a home that we're all in devotion towards simultaneously. And because that felt sense of feeling already at home is fully realized, it actually creates more freedom to like
mm,
fucking just go on a journey together and just be in it, and to be in that as a sincere offering of love to itself for the very real relative reality of experience that is suffering and in pain and in need of a new um, culture in this case. Like
mm,
together, we're sourcing this new culture that we can call metamodernism or a more beautiful world or sacred world itself. That is
mhm,
a culture that doesn't stay stagnant in some utopian kind of timeless bliss state, but is actually a bliss that is generative and desiring and magnetizing and repulsing and devouring, and it's like it's creating more of the play, more of the possibility space for the great game to be lived and experienced and forgotten as well. Like something about the forgetting and the losing oneself in that is also part of the the risk that I think it takes. It's like there's an act of courage to show up for source keeping from the middle, because the middle could and is devouring us moment by moment. And anything that we hold on to with a sense of attachment or like
mm.
a need or an egoic kind of clamping on will usually be destroyed.
Yes. I mean, there is something, there's a desire rising in me to really like ground and root this work into the here and now. And it actually comes back to another kind of like continues how we've been, yeah, just the journey of how we've been meeting together. Because the first gathering that we held together was the Soul Makers in Bergerac at the Life Itself farmhouse. And there was some sense of like in the seeking and longing for home that is always bringing you back to home. There is something about it that I feel like there was a deep resonance with soul making. Like just this one soul is always bringing you closer. It's like longing you closer to wholeness, but it also it does so through a deep kind of intimate confrontation with the gaps, like the HOLE holes in your life. So there's almost something about it where one actually can't bypass this sense of lack, this sense of a gap, because actually that is, I mean, maybe that is coming back to the black hole again. It's like, oh, that God-shaped hole is also exactly the
Yeah.
portal to come back into relationship with sacred world. And I feel like there's this art of soul making that's about coming into that exquisite tension and staying with that intensity
Hmm.
of just like, oh, I need it. It's, it actually takes a lot to be so close to what I've always wanted,
Hmm.
and to not be fully there and also there at the same time. And I feel like it's almost like in that space where it's like not collapsed yet. And then also it's not so far apart that you can't feel the polarity, but
Yeah.
it's just right where that's where like the kind of nuclear action happens. It's like
Yeah.
it wants to come close and it wants to repulse. And that's Eros. Like that's kind of there's just like a natural generativity to that. And I feel like the reason why I'm just sharing it from there is because, you know, from the Soulmakers Gathering, which was on some level about each person uniquely working with that kind of like life force energy, and generating their own path. But then I go to a gathering of gatherings, in Italy. So that was all about, that was basically a gathering of folks who were in the mountains together while you were going to Ukraine. And that was a gathering of folks in a kind of center of war and conflict. And I was really with that polarity actually, because we were in this mountain sanctuary and I would wake up every day and it would be so quiet and I would just see mist sort of pour in, and I felt every day like I was in a temple in the mountains. And the work that I was to do there was to actually hold a kind of it was almost like this, we were talking about cohering around a kind of mastery, actually, like a mastery of awareness, a mastery of coming into love. And then what we were completely connected to, actually, because Abigail was at my gathering and Jeff, her husband, is at your gathering in Ukraine. And it's like love was bringing us from this mountain sanctuary into a site where you and Jeff and others were, we would get photos from you about, oh, another siren has gone off and now we're inside a bunker together. Basically, a really beautiful, I think, fancy bunker from the photo.
It was a restaurant, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and I think there was something about that that felt like a kind of lived expression, a kind of soul theater of how something like this actualizes and unfolds.
Mm.
It's that something about even being like wherever in the rightness of where you are, you're somehow held in a network, like an intimate web of relationships that is able to mobilize mobilize a field of love actually in the face of war
Mhm.
and in the face of something that is also actively not life affirming and is holding a kind of um yeah, it's really hard for me to yeah, I kind of want to lean into it. It's like source keeping from the middle presently is also generating a kind of call to arms
Mhm.
and a call into protecting and guarding and actively birthing and midwifing that which matters most, like that which is most sacred. Um, and I feel like there's something that's just, I'm trusting the felt sense of stakes in it right now. And I'm trusting the fact that whatever is being created from the middle is drawing me into, yeah, into protecting what I love.
Mhm. Mhm. I just have this vivid image, this memory arising the first time we were in Kiev walking down the street, and the first time the air raid alarms went off, there was this soldier who had a dog, and the dog started freaking out from the air raid alarms. Um, oh, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever forget this moment. Just seeing the soldier immediately, instinctually, just get on his knees and hug the dog and just squeeze him and hold him so tight.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
When we think of a war, sometimes we think of, months or years of conflict and it's this big narrative, but, experientially, a war is fought moment by moment. And that was just one moment of the war. It was like fighting Russia's attempt to uh, turn an entire population insane. And this was this one soldier's attempt to bring so much devotional love to his dog,
Mm.
and, and probably to himself in the process. Um, Somehow that feels connected to source keeping in the middle, but don't have a conceptual way of tying those together. But yeah, to me, there's a simplicity to showing up for reality um, when the response seems so simple and natural and effort, effortful, effortless in the sense of it's just love loving itself.
Mm.
And and maybe on some level we need these heightened conditions of love destroying itself in order to remember how to fully love itself also, love ourself. Yeah.
Mm.
These are my Ukrainian slippers. I've been
Mm.
wearing them because it's winter again. My Nana, who was the Ukrainian one in my family, used to knit stuff like this, and she's passed now. I don't have any more sweaters or socks or gloves from her, but I bought these in Ukraine and I feel like they're her slippers.
Mm. Yeah, I feel actually quite moved by just this image, and I can also feel it. It's like the echo of it in my own body, like something around when crisis happens, like whatever that, whatever is the activation of crisis in a nervous system, like to have like the body's first movement without thinking to be to like move towards embracing and protecting another being. I think there's something about it that's just it's kind of like a remarkably simple and yet profound expression, as you're saying, of source keeping from the middle, because it's so instinctive. There's something about it where it's like precognitive. It's like this is what life demands of me right now, to choose love and not fear. And I feel like so much of the practice is somehow, yeah, it's like releasing into, and it's like releasing and it's also leaping into love in such a way that that is absolutely the right response. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just think about how easy it would be to just cower or hide. And I love there's like something about it that feels almost like the way that a parent would like immediately try to protect their child. It's like I think I kind of just want that. I don't know, there's something I feel about it that's like the cellular remembrance of what it means to protect the sacredness of life. It's like why wouldn't you feel that way when a tree's being chopped down? There's something about it where how come we've forgotten? Yeah, there is something just deeply tragic about forgetting that. Forgetting what it means to have your body naturally curve to protect what is most sacred, to nourish what is most sacred. Um, yeah, so, as you're saying, source keeping from the middle isn't always space practice. And it is also, I think we've been describing it as it's an attunement practice, it's an intimacy practice, it's a coherent practice, it's an alignment practice. And it's a practice to come back into an awareness that is also effortless action of always moving exactly towards and with what is an enactment of love.
Yeah. I have a distaste for the word practice because I find that it can, for me, and I imagine for others, create this sense of, oh, it's like something you do in this moment in time, and then, one day you'll get better at it or something like that. And I kind of just want to say, like, fuck that. Like, this is a culture. Like, we're actually creating culture by being that culture as we're experiencing it. And that this I was listening to Keith Martin Smith last night in a podcast, and he was talking about attunement culture, as kind of this new paradigm of reality that's coming online. And I don't know how to create culture. Like, that's such a grandiose thing. What are we going to do? Like, architect some blueprint and then go out and make it? Like, yeah, but I do that all the time, actually. But the best way I know how to actually embody culture is to just be it now. Like be it
Hmm.
now. And the only way I know how to do that is to be it in relationship because culture is inherently relational. It's something that is shared, that is experienced, that is made meaning of, that is devoted to. And so when I'm with you, all the words and jargon and philosophy and the maps and the models that point to meta modernism or whatever, fill in the blank of whatever term turns you on. It's all here existing and percolating, and it's completely irrelevant because there's just showing up. There's just showing up. Like I feel like at the end of the day, the only thing that's left is just showing up. And and in that way, the future is existing now in the temporal now, in the ever present now. And I am magnetically drawn towards beings who um, are evocative of the reality that I want to create for my own children. And the best way I know how to provide the conditions for my own children to grow up in that reality is to live it as fully as and as much as I can in the ever-present experience of working towards it. And then calling in the people that can support that. And then we can all be that together in a way that none of us could individually because you can't build culture with one person, at least not on the manifest material kind of collective level. You could have an internal individual culture, but um,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, friendship as culture building, and then source keeping as a collective practice that hopefully one forgets is even a practice because it's just their new normal, presuming that that's what they want their new normal to be. I have no desire to export this onto people or to convert people into this way of being. I really don't. I just want to be the thing that I love to be and then to be in relationship with those who also love it and then to trust that if reality wants to experience more of its beings as being that, then that will happen.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, I got teary as you were speaking because it always kind of comes back to this beat of you just can't do it alone. Can't create a culture alone. You can practice it sort of alone. Um, but there is something that just brings me right to the edge of something that feels, dangerous to say and also is like the deepest truth, which is I need you and I need others and I need us. And I don't know. And yeah, I feel, why are we creating a guild? I feel like there's like something about it. Oh, I feel a little. I remember we were on a call with Rich Bartlett the other day, and he ended the call by saying, "Oh, I'm going to end with what like the Source Keepers Guild like says as its invitation." And it's just like, I really like you. And I love that. It's like, I think so much of friendship is like that profound sense of, oh, I really like you. But I think the truth beneath it that feels like the most real is like, oh, I really need you.
Mhm.
It's like I really like you and I really need you is very um
Mhm.
yeah, it's not it's kind of one and the same. And yeah, I feel like there's something about just joyfully embracing that need and that desire. It's like I want to be friends with you. Let's do this together. We need each other. I need you. You need me. Let's do it. It's kind of I don't know, sometimes it has like the vibe of it feels youthful again. Like it has this like way in which, especially as adults, we kind of need to remember how innocent that need is. And then also, as adults, reclaim it in a way that allows us to mature into the evolution of that need into what we can become together when that need is fulfilled, when that need
Yeah.
is met. And yeah, I think I'm just, even through this conversation, kind of coming back to the guild being a way to allow the sacredness of that need to actually come into commitment and
Mm.
into a way of ritualizing and bringing into a kind of like artful vow what it means to be, yeah, what it means to need each other again.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
yeah.
What it what it means to need each other again. Mm. Yeah, I feel like the again part feels really important. You know, there's a way in which when we're born, Io is how old is Io now?
He's almost a year. He's like a couple of weeks away from his birthday.
Yeah. So Io really needs you, like in the most physiological sense of that. Io needs you. But then Io, inshallah, will grow up and individuate and become this sense of this independent, sovereign soul that is, yeah, there's a story that can exist in that of like, well, we actually don't really need anyone, like we can become psychologically whole and integrated and contained um and then there's sort of a need that arises on the other side of that of recognizing more of the wholeness of reality and the interconnection and interdependence of reality. And then maybe there's even a process of coming into a different quality of wholeness that is one integrated whole, like wholeness itself with a capital W, that there is no needs and there's no one giving, there's no one receiving, there's no needs, there's no um, actualization of needs. There's just one unfolding whole. And then there's something maybe even on the other side of that, which is like integrating in all of the relative developmental cells into that one inter already integrated whole. And then it's like the both and it's it's like they're all true simultaneously. And there's different moments when different truths have more like the hierarchy of those truths kind of shape shift moment by moment depending on the context. And
Hmm.
maybe what I see the guild is doing is simultaneously inviting people into needing one another in the most literal, practical sense of that word. And also to kind of recognizing the um like in the quality of the need is this sense of the the term acute perfection is arising, like the acute perfection of of reality already existing and it's fully flourishing, juicy, abundant aliveness that is so endlessly giving and nourishing and is so giving that it's giving needs to itself in order to like connect and like grab onto one another and come and like I want to like reach out my hand and like grab your hand and just be like, we got this. Let's do this. Like we're in this. Come on, Cheryl. And I feel that way all the time with you. When you message me and you're like, I'm in. Like I'm so in, Tucker. Let's do it. It has this quality of like, could I literally, could I survive physiologically without starting this guild with you? Yeah, like that would be probably, But on some other level, it's like that need and then when two needs kind of are able to create a bonded vow of commitment to one another, um, it feels actually like in that sacred geometry or in that soul architectural agreement or in that energetic force field is actually um, those are the very conditions that create all of life. Like
Mm,
it is actually the birthing of life that emanates um, from that conditioning in a way.
mm, mm. Yeah, I want sacred world, and it's right here, and I want more of it.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
very, yeah,
I'm
let's
on
do
it.
it.
You ask, I deliver.
Mm, yeah, and it is for Io and the many other, yeah, and it's for me, and it's for you. Yeah, I feel good.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel tender in my chest. Feel mm. Yeah, I feel like I want to have that fire and have a couch and to just lie down on the couch and cuddle with all my friends and with Io and with yeah, like mm, yeah, just allowing myself to experience it.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, there's some sense of there's a specialness to source keeping from the middle. It like feels like special and like sexy and cool and and then but the real thing, the real like what's real is just the complete ordinariness that arises from it. The like sheer simplicity of um oh, Cheryl's a human, a mom in Toronto with a beautiful husband and child and friends. And she's just with a bunch of my friends last night in Toronto. And I'm in Boulder and living my beautiful life. And then we get to come together as almost like these Um, Friends, like these friends, like we just get to come together as friends and um, play games that really bring us alive. And
Mm.
then the nourishment of that gets to be um, effortlessly spread. It's almost like dust on our bodies that just kind of wafts off in the wind and hopefully improves the relationships that are all around us. Um, yeah, and then after, like running around outside all day with my friend Cheryl, there's a desire to come home and like take a nap and to rest. And then in that rest space, there's usually like dreams and images and like the source keeping from the middle continues. I don't experience it as a stopping and a starting, I experience it as a process. And the
Mm.
process might have moments when there's a more like acute awareness of that process happening, but it's always happening and um yeah, it's just really cool to be able to by creating a creative partnership field that has vowed for like years. It's not it's there's not a the word scarcity is coming up, but there's not a fragility of the relationship. I think in a lot of conscious community, it's like people kind of float into butterfly into your life or vice versa. And there's this like a lot of intensity and peak experiences, and then they kind of butterfly away and they move to Bali or they go off to somewhere else or they and which is beautiful, but it has this very ephemeral, ungrounded kind of da 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 da. And there's something about the guild, there's something about you, there's something about us, something about it feels like the network as a whole that we're a part of that is desiring to, you know, like just
Mm-hmm.
ground in, root in, earth in.
Mm.
And it's happening globally right now. It's not in these small place-based nodes, although that's also happening. Like the Boulder Lighthouse Group just had their sixth meeting in 3 years. Um, and there's a consistency and a depth and a quality of intimacy that is being formed in those relationships that can only happen in years. It's not something that you can manufacture at a weekend workshop.
Mm.
Yeah, so there's a quality of friendship, but there's also a quality of family, of creating a family. And, it's not forever because nothing is forever. And so there's already a sense of grief for that which is going to die, like this conversation in a couple minutes. But there's also, in a very real way, at least in my system, I feel a sense of stability and a
Mm.
sense of rootedness that comes through vow, that comes through sensing that the middle wants this as much as either of us does. Maybe the middle wants it more than either of us do. And it's asking us to confront our edges of what's holding us back from really surrendering to that. Um, and then that gets to come up and be liberated and be illuminated and be released back into the void from which it came through the flames of love. And then we get to be in contact again in this moment. And it just keeps on going.
Mm. Yes,
I'm sorry, there's one more thing I'd like to share.
please.
At last night, I was at a beautiful Christian Waldorf school holiday pageant. And pageant's not the right word. They were singing songs. Basically, a bunch of angels, high school angels on stage singing, and so cute because like all their voices are cracking and they're all going through puberty, but it's somehow still totally crazy angelic at the same time. And Yeah, I was just kind of in this meditative state, and um, I was recalling a past romantic partner and feeling like just some remnants of grief of not feeling as connected with this person anymore. And yeah, there's just a really beautiful like insight that arose of feeling like, wow, on a soul level, by releasing from this person, it's actually liberating this person and also myself to give the love that we gave to each other to other beings and to share and to spread that and I was just imagining her um being her, just her being her with other beings, with other souls that are so blessed to be able to make contact with her, and to be in love with her as a being because she's so lovable. And yeah, it's just sensing also like, wow, I get to now be in contact with Cheryl and with all these other people and like really deepen into a relationship because I'm kind of freed up from some of the energetic soul sort of entanglement with this person. And then that creates all this generative possibilities for other types of contacts. And there was just something and actually instead of well, in addition to grieving and releasing and the death of that, there's also a sense of actually liberating one another in order to like give that's the best gift I could possibly imagine giving to anyone is to be able to have contact with this person who I've loved so much and to allow them to experience that as well.
Mm. Mm. Have more of what I love be loved.
Mm. Yeah.
Hmm. Mm.
Yeah, and I don't feel that I'm source keeping from the middle with this person, although this person was such a great teacher for me and how to live this way and vice versa. But I so like on a very real level, the relate that agreement has died. Um, but there's this larger middle, not yeah, there's a middle of um like the middle of my heart feels
Mm.
like it still gets to be it still gets to somehow share her love with everyone. Yeah,
Mm.
somehow. I don't know how.
Mm. Beautiful. Mm. Yeah. This is maybe this is the last piece, but there is something I remember, yeah, like you could say something of a kind of living mission in me that just made itself known to really fall in love with the world, fall in love with everyone. Um, and it's really fascinating, because how a kind of vow, a soul vow like that comes into practice is actually pretty real. It's not like an abstract kind of agapic, oh, I'll just like fall in love with the world. It's a little bit more like the intensity and heartache and transformation, of falling in love with another person, with like a lover. I was just noticing, oh, I can that's actually possible for me um,
Mm,
across a much wider and vaster and deeper range than I knew was possible. That's
mm,
like, yeah, that I think there's a way in which the kind of, I want to say, nuclear power of that kind of love. Um, I do think that it's easier to constrain it to, yeah, the conventional relationship of a partner, like a marriage, you know, and then blood relations, like my parents, my
mm, mm,
children. And there is something about extending that level, that depth of kinship and devotion and responsibility to another that you would normally preserve to the marriage vow that you have as a ceremony in front of all your friends and family to that one soulmate. That's like, oh, what if, yeah, it's like, what if it's so much more plural than that? Like, what happens to, what happens to your heart, actually?
mm,
How big must it become? And how
mhm,
much of it is no longer your heart, but our heart? Um, And I think that's something that, like when you were describing relating with, yeah, a past partner of yours, there is, yeah, I could feel both it's like the honoring of the particularity of that specific relationship and its uniqueness, and then also a kind of releasing of the grasp into, it's like a love that is also part of this larger matrix. It's
mhm,
a love that's kind of like a wave returning to the ocean as well.
mhm.
And yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's why I love friendship. Friendship is just, there's so much play, there's so much room in it.
Mhm.
Um, a friend can be a teacher, a friend can be a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a friend can be a sister, a friend can be a colleague, a friend can be, I mean, we were joking about, 52 forms of friendship. There's such a vast arena that's available to us to really explore right relationship through
Yeah.
the vehicle of friendship. And yeah, what can the vehicle or the vessel of friendship do to help us each uniquely remember what it is to love reality more in its 10,000 manifestations?
Yeah.
Um, Much more than that, but I like the Taoist sense of 10,000 things, just
Hmm.
10,000.
Totally.
10,000 faces. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and again,
that's
it's a little paradoxical because in our connection, we've created very clear, explicit platonic boundaries. Um, and we've affirmed that and named that directly, precisely, multiple times. And in that structuring of a particular arena to play in, it liberates so much more potential because we know that if we can like run up against the wall and it's almost like a bounce house, those bounce houses that kids bounce in. We can like be in that and we know that we're kind of protected by the walls of the boundaries that we've created. And it feels very liberating. Much more so than not kind of knowing and it's a little wishy-washy and then we're like where is the wall and then we have to like create a wall after we've already fallen off the bounce house and so yeah, I think the guild is also doing that. It's creating a structure, a very concrete structure that people can exist within, friendships can exist within, in order to liberate as much source keeping from the middle toroidal flow, oceanic potential that
Mm.
um, I imagine. can only be possible because of that structure, because of that. And commitment itself, like vow itself, that those are structures. Those are energetic structures, soul structures, heart structures, as well as mind structures that are shaping the field and shaping reality. Um, uh, yeah. Thanks for playing in our structure, Cheryl and Tucker.
Yeah. Thank you. This is really it feels like true play, actually. Yeah. Hmm. I feel really grateful. Thank you. May this be in service to all life.
Amen. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Tucker.